Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Jason Paredes. I'm the Assistant Parts Department Manager here at Go AZ Motorcycles in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're here to talk a little bit about foam air filter maintenance, why it's important, and what it ought to look like. We're not going to go into a completely in-depth review of how you can and the many ways you can accomplish it. We're going to touch on some of the products we keep here. Twin Air is an important product for the industry. We keep a lot of that in stock, as well as Maxima. We keep some PJ1 in store and some Motorex, but we're going to touch primarily on the Twin Air, the original system, because it's going to be the most comprehensive thing you can get if this is your first time. All right, guys, so our first step is going to be, we've got our dirty air filter, and we need to get it cleaned up. So here in the Twin Air, the system, it's going to come with your dirt removing bucket, and we're going to have our container of solvent. Now, before we get our solvent in, we're going to want to drop our orange grate that goes right here in the bottom. That's going to prevent our dirty air filter, as it's removing the grease and grime from it, from continuing to pack. And then we're just going to go ahead and free pour our solvent right into the bucket. All right, and that's 4 liters of our liquid dirt remover by Twin Air. And we're going to go ahead and just dump that air filter right in there. And the nice thing about this kit is it's going to come with this second screen that's going to press right in there, and that's going to keep our air filter submerged. All right, guys, and now we're going to just pop this top on so that the solvent doesn't evaporate away, our pets and friends don't get into it, and we're going to leave it set there for 30 minutes to up to overnight, depending on how built up that air filter is. We really want that dirt and oil that's already on it to release so that we can start over, rinse her out with a brand new like air filter. All right, guys, so our air filter's been setting for a while. We're gonna open up the lid and see how it looks. And there we are. We're looking quite a bit better than we were before. We wanna make sure that we're just kind of squeezing it out. We're not wringing it. This isn't laundry. This is a component of our engine. It looks like there's a little material left behind, but have no fear, we do have a backup plan. So I like to keep a little of the Maxima air filter cleaner in the garage. When you have something that's particularly built up or grimy, this stuff works great. You're gonna wanna make sure you shake it up a ton and then get it in there. Feel free to use it as liberally as possible. Make sure you got some open air around you. We're just gonna agitate that bit in, and then we're gonna put her back in and let it soak a bit longer. All right, guys, so after our second stage for those particularly difficult air filters, we've been soaking a bit. We're gonna go ahead and give her another quick squeeze and see if we couldn't get any more of that grime and dirt out of it. Once we've got it out pretty well, what we really want to do is now get that solvent rinsed out. So I've got some clean water here. We're going to go ahead and agitate that on through, and we're going to be able to see the rest of that dirt and oil that's left over, along with the solvent coming right out. And now we're looking like we're in better shape. And once we've got it rinsed all the way out, we're going to let it air dry, probably for at least 24 hours to make sure that all of that solvent, water, and all of those bits are dried out and gone, so that when we reapply oil, we're doing it to a clean and dry air filter. All right, guys, while our air filter is drying, we're going to get ready for the oiling process and reinstallation. So we're going to take our Twin Air liquid power oil in our oiling tub. We're going to get this thing ready. We're just going to pour that right in there. And you're going to notice their Twin Air air filter oil is not quite as viscous as your traditional Maxima FFT or your Bell Ray. And that is because they believe that if you're able to completely saturate your air filter in this bucket, you're not leaving anything to chance or anything to question. At that point, we're going to just stick it on in there and get it all the way saturated and all the way squeezed out We're not gonna leave anything to chance. While we're also waiting for our air filter to dry, we're gonna use the contact cleaner that comes in the system and squirt a little bit here on our air filter cage or element to make sure that we're getting the built up junk on that off too. So we're starting back at square one. Good baseline is always a good place to be. We want to make sure that our air filter element, and all of these other pieces are clean consistently so that we can make sure that our air intake for our engine is going to be as clean as possible. This is our first line of defense in preventative maintenance and regular maintenance and keeping that engine running well and lasting long. All right, guys, now that our air filter is nice and dry and clean, we're gonna go ahead and start oiling it. So we're gonna just dunk it on in there and get it good and saturated. We wanna make sure it gets through all of that air filter foam. Not oversaturated, but that's the nice thing about this Twin Air, the system, is because we've got plenty of oil and plenty of space here in this bucket. We can get it all the way in there, get it completely saturated, and then get the excess out. We're not gonna end up with a big puddle of oil in the bottom of our air box that's gonna leave a giant mess for us to clean up every time we clean our bike and clean our air filter. We're gonna get just what we need. And it's great, this Twin Air, the system, is gonna leave us an opportunity to continue to reuse that solvent and continue to reuse this oil. There's not gonna be any waste. We're gonna get a lot of cleaning and a lot of oiling out of this system and kit here. And as you can see, we're pretty well oiled, pretty even all the way through, back and front. Looks good. All right, and some guys will prefer the more viscous air filter oil, and that's all right. We can always just make sure some of this surface oil is off, thin it out a little bit, and we can get some of our Maxima Fab 1, which is an aerosol version of the FFT, and just go real lightly over the top. And this is not going to hurt our air filter at all. It's just gonna add a little extra tack for the guys that like the traditional air filter oil. And the traditional way is you gotta knead it on through, but that's all right. Now we've got air filter oil that's gonna be completely saturated. The high tack stuff we're gonna knead in with it. We're not gonna have to worry about any sand, silt, or dirt getting into our intake track, intake boot, ruining our valve systems, ruining our pistons, damaging our piston rings, or any combination of all of the above. So there we go, ready to be reinstalled. And last but not least, for all of us old guys that have been doing it way too long, we're just gonna put a little bit of grease around the rim, that little added protection, so that we never have to worry, is a little gonna get by. We don't wanna go too heavy on this because this is just an added bit of insurance to make sure that our Twin Air air filter, our Uni air filter, MSR, Maxima, OEM filter is going to protect us from the environment that's around us, be it dirt, sand, silt, if you're at the track, trail, wherever you may be in your side-by-side, UTV, dirt bike, dual sport, anything that's got a foam air filter, we want to make sure that our bike, side-by-side, ATV or UTV, is running as great as it can for as long as it can. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Jason Paredes at Go Easy Motorcycles in Scottsdale. Just wanted to go over again really quickly what we went through and what we were using to get it accomplished. So we've got the Twin Air air filter cleaning, the system here. It's gonna have our dirt tub in it with the solvent. We've got our oiling tub with our oil. There's the solvent it comes with. It's going to come with the contact cleaner that we use to clean our air filter cage. We've got our clean and oiled twin air filter. We've got our backup products that we used, our aerosol Maxima air filter cleaner and our Maxima Fab 1 spray-on air filter oil. We've got our Maxima waterproof grease that we use to grease the rim a little bit. You guys, the big point is to make sure that your motorcycle, side-by-sides, and ATV air filter is clean and lubricated properly, because if we're all out there trying to enjoy our local trails, to get away for the day or for the weekend, we want to make sure that they run well, and they run for as long as they possibly can. Again, my name is Jason Paredes at Go AZ Motorcycles in Scottsdale. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.